So they were doing a bunch of other stuff. But I want you to see the image there on the screen. It does speak something that I want you to think about. And it is the idea of your battery being low or your battery being full. And when we say recharge, this series is about having a strong mind and versus having a weak mind. All right? And so as I get started today, I want to take you back to this is going to be one of the best communicated messages I've ever communicated, because it's not very deep, but it is going to be very transparent. Okay? And 2 years ago, July of, I guess it's 2022, I was in South Africa at a conference, ministering at a conference there, and we did some safaris. And so on the safaris, we went out, and you know, you do the wild safaris, and you go out and you see all these amazing animals, right? We saw all these animals. How many of y'all been on a safari before? You ever been like a wild African safari? It's cool, right? So you go out and you see that. And we saw the lions, and we saw the giraffes, and we saw the hyenas, and we saw the cheetahs, and we saw the, all these amazing animals. And then we saw this one animal that was kind of roaming around, and it wasn't very impressive looking. And it was called the African wild dog. And I remember the guide told me something about the African wild dog that just blew my mind. And at the time, the Lord stopped me when they started talking about this, and he said, write this down because you need to minister on this. And so I wrote it down, and I thought I was going to come back preaching it right then, So it wasn't until now, from last year, that God told me to speak on it, because there are a lot of people that are dealing with the issue that I'm going to be talking about today. But this one animal, so it looked kind of, if you don't know what, you can Google it, but an African wild dog kind of just looks like a dog, but it's got like a stronger face, kind of a stronger face, and, it's obviously not, it's probably stronger than a domesticated house dog like we have, or maybe a big one. But it has these giant ears, these big satellite dish ears on it, right? And when you think about all the animals, the guide was talking to us, and they said that out of all of the animals, this is one of the best hunters in Africa. One of the most effective, successful hunters. And to put it into context, the lion is the one that everybody talks about, right? The lion is so impressive. The lion is strong. The lion is on all the, have you ever had a T-shirt with an African wild dog on it? No. But you have I got a lion hanging in my office, right? Nobody has an African wild dog-like picture of anything, right? Because it doesn't look very, kind of unassuming, right? And so, but they started talking about it. Now, every time the lion hunts, a lion is relatively about 30% successful, right? You would think it'd be much higher than that, right? Like, out of 100 hunts, the lion is going to be successful 30 times. 30 times. This is the king of the jungle. In the manner in which the lion hunts is the reason why it's 30% successful. But the African wild dog, who hunts similar prey, they hunt similar prey that the lion does. The African wild dog is 80% successful. That means he only misses 20 times out of 100 compared to the lion. And so as the guy started talking about the features of this African wild dog, God said, write this down, and then I did a little bit more study on it. He said, this is how the enemy is going to make victims of people in the church. So you need to hear this very carefully about how this happens, okay? So, and I'll tell you just a few things about it. So the African wild dog is so successful because of its hearing. Because of its hearing. Now, here's what happens with the hearing of the African wild dog. His hearing can pick up on a frequency that most people cannot pick up on. It's not that he has great hearing. That's different than having a different level of hearing. In other words, for example, there are kingdom signals going throughout this room right now. Everywhere. But most people, and especially carnal people or people that don't have a really dialed in Spirit of God in them. They haven't really developed that idea. They haven't developed their spiritual sense, as we talked about last message. If they haven't, they can't pick up on the frequency of it. It doesn't need to be louder. You need to be able to tune it in. This animal can tune in things that other animals cannot, that the lion cannot. And it can tune it in so good. If you close your eyes in here right now, for example, you can hear where a sound comes from. If there was a sound, if the door opened and it had, the door needed to be greased and you heard a big squeak, even if you wasn't looking, you could pick up where it was, right? The African wild dog is so successful because its hearing goes across the prairies, and it can go so far that it not only can hear something moving, it can locate it. And God said Satan is going to claim his victims by locating you. And you don't know he has located you. The African wild dog is successful because he can hear where the prey is, and they don't know where he is. He can be far away, but he can pinpoint exactly where this animal is. When you get outside, as soon as the African wild dog will not attack until it knows you are in a place of vulnerability. So as soon as that animal, they know where it is, and as soon as it moves outside of a safe zone, the African wild dog will start to consider pursuing that person. And in the same way, this is what Satan is doing to people right now. If you find yourself outside of the safety and out of place with God, and I mean mental strength, if you find yourself outside of understanding of what God's truth is, if you find yourself disobeying God, if you find yourself just not being able to pick up on the ideas of God or don't understand the concepts of the kingdom, then you are going to be outside of the safe zone, and that makes you a prey to the enemy. And you say, sometimes we get caught by the enemy, but how are we getting caught? Because he knows exactly where you are, and you may not know you have wandered outside of the safe zone. But he is watching you. He's waiting for you to make a mistake. He's waiting for you to get by yourself. He's trying to lure you by yourself. He's trying to get you by yourself. He's trying to get you with independent ideas. He's trying to get your mind wandering from the truth of the kingdom. He's trying to get you off of these spiritual concepts and into earthly concepts. And every time you do that, you're out of the safe zone. And he'll wait patiently, but he knows exactly when you move and where you move. And you say, sometimes he leaves you alone. Well, he leaves you alone until you get to that place. Because he knows he doesn't have a chance against you. He has to wait till you defeat yourself. But that's not even the most impressive part. The most impressive part of this is that his ears are so tuned in. Did you know your heartbeat has a frequency? Your heartbeat has a frequency. Your heartbeat has a magnetic field around it. Your heartbeat this is where the world gets their concept of the law of attraction. That's a kingdom concept. That's not their concept. It is demonic when you take God out of it. It is demonic. Okay? So, because your mind sends out signals, your heart attracts. Your heart is like a magnet. Your mind is like a government. The government governs, the heart attracts. Okay? So the enemy can hear your heartbeat. The enemy can hear. So the enemy can pick up on whether or not your heart is in good condition or not. So the African wild dog will also wait and look and examine the options that it has, and it never attacks anything that doesn't have a weak heart. It can hear the frequency. So when the animal may not even know it's ill, it can tell when the heart is weakening. And so it waits till the heart is weak because it knows a person with a strong heart it can't defeat. Now, when I'm talking about the heart in the spiritual sense, I want you to think mind, okay, because the heart is the mind, spiritually speaking. So it waits for a weak heart, or it waits for your mind to get tired, waits for your battery to get low, waits for you to not just get outside of a safe zone, but waits till your belief system is falling, waits till you have not maintain that. Waits till you have lost hope. Waits until you've had too many fights. Waits until you're in a vulnerable position. Because it'll wait till your heart is fainting. And then it'll start to pursue you. Because once it starts chasing you, first of all, you don't know why you got targeted. You got targeted because you have a weak heart. And there are signs of things that tell you if your heart is getting weak, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it attacked you because of that. It would not attack a person. It knows not to try you when you're on the top of the mountain. That would be a foolish fight. But many times we don't know we've slipped off into a place of weakness. We don't know that we've ended up there. We don't know that our heart has gotten weak. And then all of a sudden something grabs you by the leg and you're like, what is happening? And your heart is starting to get weak. So it starts to pursue, because here's what happens. If you have a weak heart, you won't have endurance. So it'll chase you, and it won't catch you on purpose. It'll chase you to tire you out because your heart is weak. So you're running from an enemy, and you feel like you're running. I'm running. Everything is attacking you. I'm running. But you have a weak heart, so you can't run very far. And you can't run very fast. And that's the reason you got pursued, is because the heart was weak. You're not being picked on. You're not being victimized. What is happening is the enemy is letting you know that it picked up on a weak heart. Your mentality is too weak, so he attacked you. Whatever you believed in that specific area, he attacked you. He knows your potential, but he can't touch you when you have a strong heart. So he waits until the heart has grown weak, because you're not aware of your potential. You're not managing your heart. You're not managing your mind. You're not guarding your heart. And he knows you will not turn around and face him. Because people with a weak heart still run from everything. Now, I want to teach you something, okay? So when he catches the prey, remember, he's 80% successful. And so when he catches the prey, you don't have the endurance to even fight back. So when you ever seen an animal get caught in the wild and you're like, why is he not fighting back? You've seen, even when lions do it, something, they grab a hold of something, and sometimes they grab one that is really strong, right? But other times they'll grab one and you can tell they got the one they were looking for. Because the thing is just alive, but it's not it's just laying there like, yep, you got me. And you can't resist. You can't resist the devil and watch him flee. A weak heart can't resist an enemy. So the only option you have is to give in and let that thing take its course. Am I preaching already? So let's go to Luke chapter 21. So what I'm going to do, this series is going to be amazing, because it is a necessity. Write this down. It is a necessity that you live every day with a strong mind. Because if you do not have a strong mind, you will become hunted. You will be targeted. And the enemy can't wait until your mind starts to slip, because that's when he's going to attack you. So remember, you defeat yourself first, and then he does it. You would defeat yourself first, and then he will attack, because he knows he can't beat you. So let's read a little bit right here. And there will be signs. This is Luke chapter 21. This is Jesus talking here. Luke chapter 21. Does this sound like an exciting series? I did a series 2 years ago called Healthy Mind. This is not going to be like Healthy Mind, but it might be a cousin to it. And so in the idea of mental health, mental strength is just as important, right? Mental health is a serious problem. But the issue, there's not really such a thing as mental health is a label that the world has tried to give people that have issues. But honestly, really what's happening is people are fainting because they don't have a connection with God. And so when you don't understand how God governs his kingdom, you don't know how to tap into it. You fight for your life. You fight every battle. You do your best. But eventually your heart just gets low. Your battery gets drained, and you don't know how to fight back. You can't resist the things you should. You can't be successful the way you should, because people that have a low battery can't fight very hard. People that have a low battery can't give out very much. People that have a low battery are irritated and tired all the time. Emotionally on the edge of everything all the time. Just can't fight another battle, can't do nothing else. I can't take another hit. Listen, I need to have my batteries recharged because the world is demanding much from you. And God can't use you very effectively because it takes a strong heart to serve God. I don't mean this in the way of courage either. I think courage is important. I don't mean that. I mean you have to fully understand. You have to have a sound mind and have a full understanding of God's ideas. You have to believe what he believes and know what he knows. You got to know how the kingdom of heaven functions. You have to believe. You have to study. You have to fill your heart with it. Or you'll believe lies about yourself and about your world, and you'll be in despair, and you'll be broken, and you'll see things, and you'll make turn it into a worse situation than what it could have been, because you won't be able to fight back. And I know where people are. I know where people are. Many times you walk around looking strong, and you're very tired, because strong people never get checked on. The saying is the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So unless you're crying, moaning, or groaning, nobody's paying attention. And you've learned to hide it. And I'm talking about, this is things that I have found myself doing. Because you're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to be broken. You're not allowed not to be a leader. You're not allowed not to be on demand. You're not allowed not to be at the top of your game. You're not allowed. Because if you do that, then everybody's going to not trust you anymore. Right? And so there is a way to manage and maintain this, but you're going to have days like that. You cannot stay there long, or you are going to turn into the hunted. So you have to take inventory of these things and be aware of it. All right, now let me try to get to this. And there will be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and on earth, distress of nations. Look at that term. This is not going to be the deepest message I've ever preached today. It'll get deeper as we go, but day one is very important to set it up. Because this is what I think. I'm going to cut into my message a lot, but I just need to say these things. This is what I think. A church and a body of believers with a strong mind, that means they have a kingdom mindset, okay? We don't have earthly mindset. We have a kingdom mindset. And so we are managing and maintaining that. People with a strong mind can take dominion. They can do the works of God on the earth. They can astound people with their exploits. They can operate on a high level. But it's really about the strength of them. It's not even about your gift. A strong gift does not give you dominion. A strong mind does. A strong gift will not. Listen, many of you have a strong gift. You have a strong gift. But your strong gift will give you work. Your strong gift will get you a contract. Your strong gift will get you a job. Your strong gift will put you in front of mighty men. Your strong gift will put you to use. But your strong gift will not give you dominion. Your strong gift will not ground you. Your strong gift should be used and ministered, but you got to have a strong mind to be a foundation to that strong gift. Your character has to be able to support the work you have to do. If God asks you to do a bigger thing tomorrow, could your heart take it? Right? If God wanted to send you into law enforcement or military, and you had to see the things that you have to see and handle the things you have to handle, can your heart take it? Does your spirit leave you when you see tragedy? God is trying to send people into the teeth of an enemy without fear. He's not trying to hide us in a corner. You must have a strong heart and a sound mind to go into the places he's trying to send you. You can't be absorbed into the culture, overwhelmed and adapted and assimilated into their way of life. You have to have a strong mind. You have to look at terrible things. You have to look at your family members on their worst day. You have to look at your cousins and everybody you know, and if they call upon you to ask for some help or some hope, you got to look at them and say, I'm going to tell you a truth. I know this God that I'm telling you about. I'm going to tell you the truth. And they can be in their worst moment, and you speak light into that situation. You can't be consumed, overwhelmed, or impressed by danger. God should be the only thing that impresses anything on you. You should not be impressed of the danger, impressed with the troubles, impressed. You know what that means? Persuaded in any way. Not impressed. I'm not moved. You haven't impressed any thought into my mind. You haven't made a stamp on me or a mark on me at all. I am not swayed. I am not moved. You can't make me believe it. Why? Because my mind is already impressed with God. God's strength and his kingdom has already impressed its imprint on me. His glory has already stamped his image in my heart and in my mind. I know how these laws work. You can't tell me these other laws are working when I know God is the only lawmaker and lawgiver. You can't tell me there's another king when I know there's only one king. You can't tell me there's another government when I know there's only one government. You can't tell me I'm subjected to this type of lifestyle when I know I'm under the laws of life. That's a strong mind. Right? And so there are things that you're going to have to do. I still didn't get to my scripture, did I? And there will be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and on earth distress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring. Chaos everywhere. And then men's hearts failing them from fear. The expectation of those things which are coming on the earth is why it's failing them. Hearts failing from fear and the expectation. You know what this means? And the powers of the heavens will be shaken. You know what this means? This means that the way the enemy sets up his strategy against you is to start something in the natural realm. Because we're starting in the natural realm. We got the sun and the moon and the waves and all of that, right? That looks like it's in chaos. And what happens is that when you are overcome and overwhelmed, and fear begins to set in. Fear begins to set in. Fear is how the enemy starts to weaken your heart. Perplexing situations, things that look out of control, chaos. It looks like, this was the most terrible thing that you've ever seen. And then what happens is it creates an expectation of things that are coming to the earth. That means that it starts with a little thing, and in your mind is so weak and so low that you have already made it a major thing. Because now you're expecting danger. You're expecting trouble. You are expecting a fight. You are expecting to fail. You are expecting to be weak. You are expecting it not to work out. You are expecting the earth to fail. You are expecting people to let you down. You are expecting to not be supported. You are expecting not to be forgiven. You are expected to have trouble with that relative. You are expecting this thing not to turn around. How did you get there? It's not because it's not right. I'm telling you the truth. It's because your battery is too low. Your mind has slipped into a realm where it is going to drain your battery. You're not supposed to be expecting just because you see trouble on the earth that trouble to come to you. You are supposed to be. You are supposed to be. Let me get the S in front. You are supposed to be expecting the kingdom to come. Now watch the flip of this. So if you are expecting trouble and expecting fights because you have been in a few fights. So the more fights you get in and the more trouble you face, what happens is you build an internal culture and a default to be a fighter. And when you get stuck in internal default of fighting, you go periods of time fighting everything, and you say, ain't nobody going to take nothing from me, ain't nobody going to sabotage me, ain't nobody going to disrespect me, ain't nobody going to do that to me. Well, what happens is you build this internal conflict, and now you look at the world that way, and you don't even know you slipped over into that. I'm here to tell you, if you look at everything as a potential hazard to you, your batteries are low. And maybe you didn't know your batteries were low today, but I'm here to tell you, if you don't recharge these batteries by looking at God, if you don't get in the presence of God, if you don't get back into his kingdom and look around at the abundance and the safety, the security, the equipment, the love, the grace, the mercy, if you don't get in there and start studying those keys, if you don't learn how this thing functions, then your battery is going to stay low and you're going to turn into the hunted. The enemy hunts the irritated. The enemy preys on the irritated. The enemy preys on the angry. Because your mental capacity is low if you are always angry. Once you reach a level of irritation where everything irritates you, the kids are irritating you, the dog is irritating you, the garbage man is irritating you. I mean, every restaurant you go, you know there's no such thing as customer service anymore. It's irritating. Can't nobody in this world do their job right. I understand that. They can't. People, their batteries are so low, they don't expect anything good, so they can't give out anything good. People that have a low battery do everything terribly. I don't expect a raise. I don't expect better money. So I'm going to go into this job and I'm not going to function on a high level. Why? Because my mental strength is too low to have pride in my work, take pride in myself, be the image and likeness of God, be the change agent of culture in this company. I'm just going to go in and do the bare minimum. You're supposed to be expanding kingdom culture, but people with weak minds can't expand the kingdom. As soon as you feel like a victim, your battery is low. And I'm telling you, just like the African wild dog, the enemy is waiting for you to get tired. Waiting for you to believe that lie traveling through your head. Waiting for you to bite into that thing that passed by you to give you worry. When you grab that instead of letting it pass by, the enemy said, I got you. As soon as the battery starts fading, he starts chasing. He's not going to catch you yet. He's just going to get you on the run. And when you're on the run, the way it looks is everything is chasing you. Everybody's getting on my nerves. Everywhere I go, people getting on my nerves. It's not your personality. You say, I'm just one of those people. I can't put up with foolishness. I'm with you. I don't put up with foolishness either. But here's what I have learned. Because I have not always perfectly done this. And I've fallen into days and times. Listen, so when Pastor Ron came, am I helping anybody? Yes. Listen, I want you to be strong so that you can do the work of God. I want you to be able to expand the kingdom. I want you to go into your job not worried about the money, not worried about the boss and his ugly attitude. Not worried about did they give you the shift you asked for. Not worried about any of that. I'm not here for that anyway. I am here to expand a culture. The one from my kingdom, I'm trying to bring that up in here. I'm here as a blessing to y'all. I'm here as a grace to y'all. I'm here as mercy from God. I am here as love from God. Maybe y'all won't accept me. Maybe you will. I'll be here for a little while possibly. But while I'm here, there's no reason for me to let you control me with your culture when I'm supposed to be bringing culture. I can't give you that much authority over how I feel every day. And when your battery is low emotionally, you are mad all the time and hopeless all the time and irritated all the time. I am telling you, there is a place you can reach where you have understood the kingdom so much and you have sat with God so much that no matter what they shoot at you, they can't wipe that smile off your face. They can't get under your skin. They can't bother you. They can't rattle you. They can't take you down. They can try to hunt you, but they're just going to be looking at you because they can't touch you. And I'm telling you, it ain't about your gift. It's about, is your heart strong? A strong heart will heal. A strong heart will do exploits. A strong heart has power. A strong heart, the anointing flows through it. But a weak heart, the anointing gets bottled up because it doesn't have the power to project the light. And what we have done is we have allowed ourselves to get so busy, whether it's good things that we're doing or fighting battles, that we have allowed our battery to get so low that now what we do is, even Christians, even believers, this is what we do. And it's a tragedy that it happens to believers and churches and pastors and all of that. It's a tragedy. Because what we end up doing is even the best of us, we get out there and we're doing work for God instead of doing work with God. And there's a major difference in me doing it for God and then me doing it by or with God. There's a major difference in me being a transparency and a vessel for him to move through than me doing something on his behalf on my own. A major difference. And it'll drain you to do something for God. Did y'all know we have a policy at this church of volunteering? We call it We Get To. Did you know that? I'm going to tell you why. Because you don't have to. And I have instructed all of my leaders, if you ever notice anybody on your team and their countenance is not thrilled to serve God's house, thrilled, then here's the protocol. Check on them. Ask them how they are. And you know what church people have learned? They have learned to run away from their leadership because they think we want something else from you. I ain't going to answer that call. They might ask me to serve. If that's your attitude, resign today. Resign, not because we're mad at you, but because we love you. We don't want you here doing things for God. We don't want you here we want you to be healthy. We don't want to occupy your schedule if that irritates you. If you don't see that message come through that you are here to serve and you're not like, praise the Lord, I get to serve. Hallelujah. I get to make a difference. Praise the Lord. If that is not how you are, resign. Don't leave the church, just resign. And and we're not mad at you. We're not mad at you. In fact, when you resign, let us help you. Don't feel obligated to do anything for God when your heart is not healthy. What God has for you is demanding. You got to have a strong heart to do it. If you have a strong heart, you will be a giver. If you have a weak heart, you'll be a taker. Can I tell you some of my story a little bit? Did you know, as a pastor, when I walk into a room, there's never a room I walk into anymore. Everybody's got their cup out, which is fine. That's my job, serve. Right? Don't act strange in front of me, okay, after this. I don't want to be a burden. No, you're not. You're my responsibility. That's my job. I am the shepherd. And it's the greatest honor of my life. The greatest honor. Every room I walk into, I have to pour. Every single one. I never go to church anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world where I'm not doing this. You need some? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Do you need a word? Do you need some help? Do you need something? What do you need? Are you okay? Do you need me to pray for you? Do you need me to pray for your family? How's everything going? Are you doing okay? God's got you. God's got something for you. God, I'm pouring. Now, since that is my life, I can never go into a place without overflow. Because if I have to keep pouring, but I don't have anything left to pour, then when somebody puts out their cup, which they should rightfully do, then I'm going to get mad and irritated. Why are you still not better? How come you still empty? Why are you still, right? And sometimes that's a legitimate question to you. Why are you still empty? Because I can fill you up, but sometimes you need to fill yourself up. But I'm pouring out everywhere. There's nowhere I go where I'm not pouring. Nobody can pour. I don't have a pastor. I have to have church by myself. I have to call people that live states away. If I want to go get some, time with someone, we have a board and overseers and good people like that. Those are kind of like my pastor. They help me. But I don't have this situation right here. Every day I step on this campus, I'm doing this. Every single day. I'm never getting poured. So what happens is that eventually if you keep doing that and you don't keep strengthening yourself, right? You won't have a good attitude and you won't do a good job, and you cannot be a giver if you don't have nothing to give. And if you think that's bad for me, it's not. It's the honor of my life. It's the same for you. Because when you lead, this is my area of leadership, but you have one. And you cannot go out into that world where the demand is just as high for you. And now you are this person. Your relatives calling you. The job wants you. The kids want you. You got to be dad, mom, husband, cousin. You got to be everything. You the counselor out there. They don't know me. You on your job talking to those people. You making those deals. You running the business. You doing all that stuff. You're pouring out. You're making ends meet. You're doing that stuff. If your heart gets low, you start getting tired of it. And so you got to understand, you cannot afford it, because here's what happens. And then pastors Church people get offended when their batteries are low. You are unoffendable when your batteries are full. When your cup is full, somebody offends you at church, you're like, that's cool. I'm good. But when your battery is low, you find a reason to say something. Sometimes people occasionally go on social media and badmouth me. And, they'll say stuff, sometimes like, he don't never preach about, like, he don't use enough scriptures. I'm like, I don't know what church they going to. But you know what I know when they start doing that? This is what I know. This is the greatest place on earth. If you can criticize this, your battery is low. So I don't get offended, because what I know is I hope that you get your battery full, because what you're looking for is someone to please you and be perfect for you. We are here to serve you. You'll never meet a better group of people. You will never meet people more concerned with you. I'm telling you the truth. But the issue is not how concerned a church could be of you. It's your expectation of them. And when you expect them to fill a role that God can only fill, you have put the bar too high. We are your support. We are your aid. We are your help. We are not your source. You got to have a relationship with your community. That is your place of safety, your place of refuge, your place of strength when you are weak. The safest place you can be when your battery is low is in the community. Because when you don't know what to do, you got to be around a bunch of other people that can fill you up. Okay? Because when you get in the proximity of those who are strong, it makes you strong. You get what I'm telling you? And so I don't know if y'all felt that, but this weekend we had a big outpouring. I get around people that talk big and walk big and do that thing. It makes me feel strong. Does it make you feel strong? When I get around people talking that stuff, I'm like, yes, we can do it. Like, I want to be around people that tell me that we can do this. And I walk out of here ready to go. Right? But if you're around negative people, it's just a drain on your life. I mean, you get so exhausted. You can't function. You can't be effective. You can't give out. And every time God's wanting to send you somewhere, he knows you ain't got nothing to give. And so I was telling Pastor Ron, because, listen, I don't know if you know this or not. I'm grateful for where we are, but we have a big vision here. I'm grateful. But listen, you have this weekend, you put on a premier kingdom conference. I don't know if you realize who you are and what you did. But all of those speakers that left here, they command audiences in stadiums. They came to you. Because, and I'm going to tell you, when they left, they were highly impressed with the order and excellence in which you function in. Highly impressed. These are people that own things like Top Golf. Like, you drive by Top Golf now, you're like, I know that guy. You can tell your friends, be like, I know him. Come to my church. It's just who we are, you know what I mean? I got friends, right? I mean, it speaks highly of who you are. But when we started 10 years ago, we were in obscurity, right? High school, you shouldn't survive. You probably won't survive. I'm teaching the gospel of the kingdom as Jesus told us to do, which makes a lot of people not like you, because I can grow a church much faster if I just pet you and stroke you and get you hyped up every week. Oh, I can do this much faster. But when you stick to what God said, it offends people. It puts the responsibility back on them. It puts the keys in their hand and says, you can do it, we can help. We like Home Depot. God's like, you can do it. I can help. I equip, you do. I give you the wood, you build the fence. I give you the anointing, you go out and take the world. You're like, what? See, a weak mind thinks that God's got to do it all. A sound mind knows that God has given you the ability to do it through him. So you have done that, but here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the next level for you. This building is 12,000 square feet. It will only hold one more service, comfortably, okay? That is going to happen imminently and very quickly. So here's what has to happen. We are going to move into we're looking already, but we're going to have to get more money together, more people together, a lot more things together. But without a doubt, by God, not for God, But by God, his kingdom supplies everything we need. But he owns the buildings, the earth, and everything in it. He's already got it picked out. He already knows where it is. We are getting ready for it. Okay? He knows it's already done. We are getting prepared to move to it. But when that, so you're already doing things on a level you don't know you're doing it on. And so you have gotten the attention of the world. But here's what I will tell you. You're going to move from this obscurity now. And then we moved into, oh, wait, there is something going on over there. That's where you are now. You're in that season where you got their attention. Like, what's happening? What they're, see, Atlanta knows who you are. I know they know because you should see my emails. They know you. Okay? And so you'll go from, oh, attention, then you're going to move to influence. And influence is the next thing where the building is bigger and things. But it's not about the material thing. It's about you are going to be such a force. Because people are going to start to imitate and do things because of your presence. And everywhere that you walk, you're going to have a demand on you. The demand is that you have done something so amazingly that people are going to want you to do that everywhere you go. So guess what you're going to have to do? All the time. All the time. You say, Lord, I didn't know if I wanted to be noticed. I didn't know if I wanted to be an influence. I didn't know if I wanted to get on this job and people know who I am. But at some point, God's got to pull somebody from the background and put them in the front. But that person is going to have a strong heart. You're going to have a strong mind and a strong heart. You're going to have to be immovable morally. You're going to have to be uninfluenceable. You're going to have to be above sickness. You're going to have to be above illness. You're going to have to be above pettiness. Because all the world tries to do is divide you to get your heart low because it wants to get you angry and frustrated and upset and get you fighting about red states and blue states and blacks and whites and Hispanics and all this other stuff. They want to get you, all that does is drive division and your house starts to fall because a house divided cannot stand and a kingdom divided cannot stand. And why can't it stand? It's because it gets too weak at the foundation and it falls. A weak heart is like having a house built on sandy land. But you could build a structure on a rock. These are kingdom principles, immovable laws that God gives you to dominate. Is this all right? Is that helping you? I'm a few more minutes here. Are y'all okay? Mentally strong. You cannot have bad mental health. And there's only one person that can provide that. And so you see pastors even, they fail. Morally, right? Things rocking and rolling going on. You say, well, how did that happen? How did that happen? I'm going to tell you how it happens because you see the pastor, but you got to know that in the kingdom, pastors are leaders in that world. But you are the leader in your world. So whatever you relate to the pastor is on you too. This just happens to be my world, but I respect you just like you respect me. I respect you and yours. And you have this, that's why I want to equip you. So anything I learn, I have to turn around and tell you because you got to do it out there in real time with real people, with real haters and real people hating on you and all that stuff. Evil right in your face. People taking advantage of you and trying to, get you and steal things from you and destroy your life and all that other stuff. Pastors fail and all people fail because their heart gets low and they're doing things for God. And then they can't resist temptation. Usually they're not bad people. Their heart is low. It's low. And I'm going to tell you why, because it's the same thing. As I think I said in this service or maybe the last service, leaders never get checked on. You're supposed to be good. So here's what happens. You have things that happened in your past. Nobody checked. You have things that happen when you were a kid. You got violated, you got abused, you got rejected, you got talked about, you got beat up, you got physically, emotionally all beat up. You went through things. You battled all the time. You thought you were healed. You thought it was good. Everything is under the rug. And then you get to this place where you're just so tired and irritated, and then you put up this front and you just can't take it anymore. And then all of a sudden something comes along that seems to fill that void, and all you find yourself falling. And then when you find yourself falling, all the people leave because they're so perfect and you're not. I have pastor friends that have lost their entire churches, marriages, everything, and I tried to reach out to them, and they would not answer the phone. And I was trying to check on them. I'm not trying to criticize. I'm trying to check. But I know why it happened. And I'm not saying this from a high place. Like, I'm telling you that anybody who does not manage and guard that field is going to be susceptible. You too. So anyway, I was sitting down with Pastor Ron, and we had lunch before we brought him over for the conference, and he asked me that question. He said, how are you? And I was like, it's like the first time anybody asked me that question in a long time. How am I? Right? Not how am I doing as a church, but how are you doing? Who are you? How do you, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Not what can you do for me. I'm talking about what people do to you, too. Because leaders, because you got your money together, nobody calls you. Unless they want money. But, making money, it puts a drain on you. So you got to come to church, get filled up, get with God, get filled up. Every day you got to guard that thing. You got to guard your mind, because even though you're successful doing something, it still pulls on you. And yeah, you might have some stuff. You might have some money in the bank. But that stuff still takes work. You might be producing, but that takes work. And so he asked me that, and we started talking. I said, Pastor Ron, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, I feel okay, I said, but I got to be honest with you. I said, I feel like I have been in a 10-year war. I feel like I got dropped off in a city, because God told me to come here. I know that. So I got dropped off in a city where I didn't know anyone, didn't have a team, didn't have any money, didn't have any help, didn't have any support, didn't have any really people that believed in us, didn't have any of that. And now I'm supposed to find the people, build a team. I don't have any familiarity with this area at all. It's oversaturated with churches. And God said, he told me, I said, why would you send me here? They have enough churches. He said, no, they're over churched. They're under kingdomed. So we convert Christians in this city. We get them off of religion into the kingdom, right? Because you got to get them saved now, because they, people think they go to church, they're good. So a 10-year, I feel like I got dropped off on the battlefield and nobody ever came to get me. Nobody ever came. I just, I had to defend. And at the time, this is something you have to do. When you get a new venture or something, I had to defend every square inch of territory. I couldn't let even a little roach crawl on my territory. I had to, what you doing? And so for 10 years, I was watching it like a baby. Watching it like a baby. And so there's no leaders to help. There's nobody to watch this. There's nobody to do that. And we didn't have jobs. So you guys know the story. We had good salaries, but then for 3+ years, the church can't pay a salary. The church can't help nobody out. The church can't even give the pastor a salary, much less any other employees that would be needed to help the church, right? And so you have $0 coming in. You have all the bills that everybody else has, and the church has bills. So you have the church full of bills, and you got bills. And then over time, you see that happening. And 3+ years, you have to learn how to operate with nothing coming in. And guess what you do the whole time? You are vigilant, watching every move everything makes. You're watching everything. I mean, we had our lives whittled down to necessities only, which is what you should do when you're coming back from a low place or a sacrifice. It was a great place. It was a sacrifice. You know what I mean? With great honor, it was a sacrifice. I didn't know it was going to get that low. So I'm just defending everything. Anybody steps out of line, because when you're building culture, you have to defend everything that happens. Anything steps out of line, anything threatens the survival of the church, anything messes with it, anything happens, I'm stepping on it. What are you doing? Get back in line. What are you doing? We don't do that here. We don't say that here. We don't talk like that here. We don't treat people like that here. And even though it's coming out of a good place, and I had to defend it, because the devil wants to destroy things when they're babies. The devil wants to destroy things when they're little, because he knows he can't get you when you get big. He knows it's much harder to fight you when you get grown. So, but what I know about Atlanta and what I know about this region is everybody has this go-get-it mentality. And you're fighting all the time. And for me, it was 10 years of just defending territory. And then all of a sudden, you get to a place where you have some help. And the culture is there. And people are amazing. You found the people you needed to find. We need more, but we found enough people to get a foundation. And you found some folks. You got them trained. You didn't have this, then you had it. And so that season passes, and you had to fight for all that time. You had to build that culture. You had to do that, what you did. So God allows you to fight at times. You should fight sometimes. But then you get stuck in fight mode. And now you don't have to fight. The battle is over. And now your emotions are low and everything irritates you. Are you listening to me? So listen, I'm here to tell you this, okay? Because this is not about me. What I'm telling you is that the stuff that I walk through, it gets to the point, even when we went through this building program, every single contractor was a knucklehead. Every single one trying to get over on us. You know what I kept thinking about? I said, this is what happens when you build something. You will kill somebody for that. I said, there ain't no way I'm going to let you mess up what we have been on the battlefield getting. Right? So they would come in, and if one thing was off, I'd be like, you going to fix that. But the thing was, they were already knuckleheads, showing up late, not working hard. The sheetrock people put the sheetrock up, and then there was a bunch of supplies in here. They abandoned the job. They left all the supplies. I said, they must have some real money because they just abandoned thousands of dollars worth of supply. We had, in the middle of trying to get the church off the ground, we're meeting in the movie theater. I have to find new sheetrock people and finishers. 18 hours, 19 hours a day. And then on top of that, all of the battles for 10 years. And I got stuck. I got stuck in the mode of, I have to do it. So the last couple of years, I've been getting myself unstuck. And it has not been easy. Because emotionally, you just get caught. Can y'all play me something? I have to finish this. I don't know why today the time seemed like it moved faster. But here's what I'm here to tell you. I try not to unnecessarily just take your time up. But there was something, I didn't even say this in the first service, but hear me out. This series, I told you when this series was originated, right, last year. Somebody at this church, this is just coincidental, very coincidental, trust me. Somebody at this church, served at this church, and they committed suicide last week. And so I knew I had the right message because this is already in my notes. But I've been there, and I know how I got there. In a good place and good intentions. And you know why they did it? I don't know all the details, but I do know prior to this, talking to them, they had tried it many times before already. And I know that anxiety was always a factor. And I can tell you this. When your batteries are low, you cannot afford to let your mind get off in a place where you don't have no help. Because when you're sitting alone and you're thinking about ending it, which I have been there, when you are sitting there, that's a serious, serious thing. And you could have just called. Listen, guys, we have protocols and systems here. But anybody that reaches out, if you do it, just go to guest services or call the church. We will find someone. Please don't make it that I have to do it. Because sometimes I can and sometimes I cannot. We have other people and pastors and leaders that help me with that, all right? Don't sit at home with your batteries empty and think nobody cares about you and ain't nobody checking on me and ain't nobody going to help me and everybody's rejecting me and they're going to think I'm a bad person if I tell them I'm weak. We've all been there. That's why I'm getting up today to tell you I have been there. If you're going to be used by God, there's going to be a demand on your life. And that demand is going to drain you. And that's why God, he tells you, do not forsake the assembly. He said, they always want us to go to church. Yes, because we want you to stay full. We know that you are going to be hunted. As soon as the devil sees you isolated, as soon as he sees your mind slipping, as soon as he sees you compromising, he's putting a target on you. So I'm going to stop right there, okay? I know time is getting away from us here. But Wednesday we have Kingdom Cafe. It's an amazing time. It's just another way for us to fill you up. You get to come in and high five people and if you take time, respect yourself. Respect yourself. Get in places where you can look at people, laugh and smile. Get off work. Don't be like, I got to go to Kingdom Cafe. Say, I get to go get refilled. I get to go smile and laugh with some friends. You get off of a place where they put a demand on you to a place that'll fill you back up. You go home, there's still demand. Right? You don't have to do nothing here. You come in and get love, unless you're serving, but even then you're going to do that out of a full place. All right, can we just give Jesus a big praise? I hope this has helped. We care about you. I don't want your mentality to slip. I don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you to feel depressed. I don't want you to feel like nobody loves you. I don't want you to feel like you're not going to make it because you are. I don't want you to feel like nobody can help you because they can. I don't want you to feel like you're unsupported or alone, because this world is very mean and it don't care about you. But God loves you, and I'm going to take this series in several weeks, and I'm going to refill you and refuel you. But I'm also going to give you strategy of how to stay full. Because unless you plan to do nothing for God, then you don't need a full battery. The world can just take you on, and you won't even have a resistance to the enemy. But the moment you start working for God, but working by God, you're going to be in a place of dominion. That means I'm going to be unoffendable. Yo, I love it when I'm in a full place because I'm unoffendable. I had some recent battles where I was like, oh, I feel better because I would have chopped their head off about 6 months ago. I said, they came at me. I was like proud of myself. I was like, just above it. I just know how to deal with it spiritually. I don't even need to physically or verbally jump in the ring with you. And that's not just important for a pastor. That is important for your marriage, for your kids, for your job, for everywhere you go. You got to know when not to get in the ring. Can you lift your hands? I want to bless you and let you get out of here. As your pastor, I hope that has helped you. Lord, we just pray. We thank you, God, for stopping us today from the work that we're doing for you and reminding us, do it by you, do it with you, do it alongside of you. Trust you to build us. Keep our batteries full. Keep us running and not growing weary this week, Lord. I know many people, or maybe you're in a strong place, but I'm glad you're at church, because you know what? If only weak people come to church, there's nobody here to fill them up. But when strong people come to church, it fills up the other people. And if you are in a place of strength, you can go out and find someone who is not. If you are in an okay place, go find someone who is not okay. If you are in an okay place, check on someone who is not okay this week. Call them up and ask them, how are you? Do you need anything? Is there something I can do for you? Can I speak life into you? Because you will need that in return at some point. Lord, we bless your people. We thank you for it. I'll see you guys on Wednesday at Kingdom Cafe. I hope that was a help today. Let's go dominate.